Well, let's talk now to Simon Diggins, Colonel Simon Diggins, military and defence analyst. He wrote a piece in The Spectator in the last couple of days talking about how Britain ended up in the Afghan asylum mess. This, you might remember, is, of course, the super injunction scenario whereby the government, the Tory government that is, decided to take out a super injunction. Grant Shapps was the defence minister at the time, so that we would never find out that because of a terrible blunder, an email was sent to the wrong people, thereby naming and giving contact details for tens of thousands of people who claimed that they'd been fighting with the British Army in Afghanistan. All of them have now been airlifted to live here. And of course, we've now discovered that many of them didn't fight with the British Army at all. In fact, some of them were members of the Taliban. Colonel Simon, very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you as always.
Interesting piece this, because I mean you kind of lay out the fact that, you know, there was a lot of balls dropped, if you like, during that period between 2014 and 2021 as the British were more kind of conciliatory. They weren't really fighting a war. It was more of a support and capacity building role for the people, so that when it all went wrong, there wasn't really any safeguards to know what to do next.
No, exactly right. And particularly in the period between August 20 and August 21. August 21, you recall, is when they had the big airlift.
Yeah.
We'd originally planned to move about 3,000 people, ended up lifting some 15,000 people, leaving behind people we should have brought out and probably brought people over we shouldn't have brought out. And in that 1 year period, that's the period when the fact that things were going wrong in Afghanistan, President Trump in his first presidency had declared that he would deal with the Taliban, and then April 21, Joe Biden pulled the plug and said no more US support for the Afghan armed forces. That was the point where something serious could have been done about it. Nothing was done about it. Nobody had their eye on what was going on, and we ended up with the situation we have ended up with a liability to bring in tens of thousands of people to this country, some of whom, as you say, are distinctly undesirable and should not be here.
Yeah, and there's nothing, it seems, anybody can do about it now, because there's no way you can retrospectively vet people. But Peace at the weekend suggested that an awful lot of those who did come were certainly people, whether they've, you know, changed their minds now, were actually working for the Taliban.
Yeah, it's very hard because the primary characteristics we didn't always necessarily understand properly of the conflict in Afghanistan. It was very much a civil war, and that was how the Afghans saw it. We saw it more broadly. We saw it in the global war of terror, and of course, it all spread out from the Al Qaeda attack in 2001. And we misunderstood some of it and misappreciated some of that situation. The truth of the matter was, a lot of families were divided. And you might find one person working for the government forces and his close cousin, actually supporting the Taliban, and very much often done on a sort of local basis. So it would not be impossible to find somebody who had, should we say, compromised the Taliban in the past, who then came to work for us, and vice versa. So that was kind of the nature, the cultural nature of the war we were involved in, which we didn't fully and properly understand. But that makes it very difficult when it then comes to sorting out who should be in this country and who shouldn't, because of the nature of the conflict we're involved in.
Right. So is it too difficult now to unpick? I mean, we're stuck with it.
No, I think we should. I think there is still a security issue, because we do know that the Taliban and the people who support the Taliban, including Pakistan's ISI, their Inter-Service Directorate, and other Islamist groups, are looking to terrorise in this country at the moment. So I hope that MI5 will still continue to look, and the security forces tend to look at who's actually come into this country to make sure that we have got the undesirables. We can still remove them. If they have been supporting the Taliban, if they're undesirable, they can be removed on the basis of what you might call false promises, false attestation. In other words, they said they were one thing, they turned out to be something else. So I hope we don't give up on the challenge of working out who should be here and who shouldn't be there. What I really want to do, though, is ensure that people start to think very hard about what went wrong and make sure the processes, the systems that led to this complete chaos in the first place do not occur again.
Yes. I just want to ask you about something else that's come up this morning. It's on the front page of the Telegraph. Britain is ready to fight in the Pacific, according to John Healey, the Secretary of State for Defence. He says that we're ready to stand up for Taiwan and fight with Australia and other nations and make sure that we're capable of doing so. Seems a little premature to me. Have a look at this video that they put out, David Lammy and John Healey down in Darwin.
I feel so proud. The UK aircraft carrier alongside in Australia, first time since 1997. reinforces the fact that our deepening defence and security bond with Australia are now closer than they've ever been.
Our armed forces have worked together over centuries. They've died together, and actually being in Australia, thinking about the range of problems in the Indo-Pacific, it's so good that the carrier is here and that we are here.
And that's a very powerful message to those that might destabilise the region. And our AUKUS programme with the US as well will bring thousands of new jobs to the US, to Australia and to the UK.
In Perth, in Derby, in Barrow are good people who've worked hard in our defence sector to keep us all safe. Our jobs in the future, technology, capability, peace through strength.
And strength through allies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, apologies for the music. I'm not quite sure what they thought they were doing there, but I think that's a version of Top Gun Down Under.
Yeah, no, it's a bit over the top, really. I mean, I'm absolutely in favour of strong relationships, particularly with Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, our old allies and friends from the past. But if we are serious about defence in the Pacific and supporting Australia, we really need to do something about our armed forces overall. We're also going to look very hard at what we're doing in terms of support to the Baltic states at the moment, where there's a genuine and immediate threat. So this is all good stuff. It's good rhetoric. It's right to assert our allyship with those countries, but it's not being matched by the reality of the defence expenditure that's required. I mean, and that's the real key to this thing. So agree with the rhetoric, but actually, if you're serious about making a big difference, we absolutely need to increase our defence expenditure. Not this sort of 3.5% by 2035, with 1.5% being spent on Ed Miliband's kind of net zero initiatives. On the basis that's national security based. You know, if we're going to talk the talk, as Healy and Lamb have just done there, we actually need to have the resources behind it. I don't see that at the moment, and that's very disappointing.
Yeah, me too. Colonel Simon Diggins, thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you. Military and defence analyst there on both Afghanistan, where it all went wrong.